Let's have a warm heart welcome for my friend and teacher, Desda Zuckerman.
Hi. Hey, everybody. So good to see you, all my buddies. It's great to be here with you. We're going to have some fun today because the energy is just flying, isn't it? It's just flying. So I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm on a bit of a roller coaster ride, up to the top and then down to the bottom. But that little butterfly in your stomach that you get, it doesn't have to be painful and it doesn't have to stop you from growing and expanding, developing and reaching out. So the sacred anatomy is definitely something that can support that. And I am excited to be here with you, and I'm ready to answer any and all questions that come up. I saw there was something that already came in. Oh,
Yes,
that's
Desda, let me read. This is from Nazi Begani. She
great.
says, the radiant points work to align historical information retrieved from storage, karmic information.
Mhm.
How is the sphere of influence connected to this karmic information? And does the greater mind through the template connect them in any way?
Whoa. I
Yeah,
mean,
how are they influenced? So we're diving in deep right off the bat.
Nazi, Nazi, I mean, come on. just, I mean, you just like hit that ball. It went way up into the stands. Not even, it's not even in sight anymore. I'm going to have you read the question again, Cheryl, because about halfway through, my mind was blown. So let's go ahead.
Sure, we'll start with the radiant points.
Okay, that much we got.
They work to align historical information retrieved from storage, karmic. They're there to manage karma, right? So she wants to know how the sphere of influence, which is in another system, connects to this karmic information.
Great question.
And does the greater mind, which is embraced through the template strands, connect with them in any way? So radiant points, the template, and spheres of influence. Woohoo.
I knew I liked you. This is a great question because she's touching on multiple systems. So there's a couple of new people here. So I want to just like give a little backfill. So the answer isn't going to seem like it's from outer space. So let's give a little backfill. There are 7 systems in the sacred anatomy. One of those systems is a subtle nervous system called the template. And that is the location of radiant points and also the location of the greater mind. So you might ask, what are those things? So let's start with greater mind. So the greater mind is, first of all, your mind is not actually only located in your head. Your mind is expansive. Your mind moves around. Your mind is able to leap tall buildings. It's definitely superhuman. And it doesn't stay only restricted to the brain and the amazing reactivity and response of the brain, the actions of the brain don't necessarily create consciousness and the mind. So the mind is most of us find our mind is restricted by the space of our skull. And I have an exercise called the greater mind that actually takes us outside of the skull and we step into the sacred anatomy and into this larger mind, which I call the greater mind, which is the place of genius. It's the place of great inspiration. It's where you have those aha moments, the expansion and sort of electrical moments of inspired creativity that we all have. Here's a picture of the template web, which gives us a little bit of a look at kind of an organized version of the template. Those little strands are like nerve fibers in a way, and they all come into a place at the center of the body called the star point. And at the star point, it's called the star point because it has so many things entering, so it looks like an exploding star at the center of our body. And that star point is critically important because it contains and holds and focuses all the information that's coming in on these strands. Now, here's the thing where the template system is different than our nervous system. The template is also part of the digestive system of the sacred anatomy. So it absorbs and receives subtle energies that come from source. So source energies are pure. There's no agenda. It just is. It's the rose red light of love, or universal love and light, or green light of growth. And those energies are just expressed and in the universe. And it's about us to say yes to them. It's about us to say, I want them, I need them, I'm going to use them. And so we bring in these energies, and they come in, they go through the star point, then they go into the east stomach, which personalizes them for us. They go out through drains into the soul layer, and then in the soul layer, they're used. So the greater mind takes up all this space that template is taking up. So the greater mind is constantly influenced by source energies that are pure and that are kind of radiate out of these little strands that they're traveling in. So we have this tremendous influence when we allow ourselves to step out of the limits of the head brain and just move into this larger idea of the greater mind. Okay, so the greater mind is this profound thing that anybody can do. It's not just special people or geniuses, because we all have a genius to us. We all have the ability to find this like hyper intelligence and super focused ability that geniuses have in a maybe an easier access point. So if you and I are able to expand into the greater mind, then we're also able to understand what karma is. We're able to understand kind of what the download that we're getting all the time from our karmic experiences is. All right, let's talk about karma now. This is a very multifaceted answer, Nazi, because that question was, whoa. I mean, it was a Grand Canyon of questions. So anyway, when we start talking about karma, basically karma is action, acts, things that happen. But it's also what you are thinking when you're doing something. So if you're filled with hatred when you cut someone's head off, there's a way that that's karmic, and that stays with you. But if you're a soldier on the battlefield and you kill somebody by shooting your gun at the other side, there's not necessarily karma related to that. So because it's an action that is, you're instructed and you're acting under the auspices of other people's guidance and direction. So who gets the karma of that? The people that told you what to do. So it's the same thing with all things. So, parents are responsible for their children. We pick up karma if we tell the kid it's okay to talk to strangers, and then they're kidnapped. That's karma, So there's all this stuff that's roiling around in the sacred anatomy because it contains absolutely everything from soup to nuts of the human experience. It contains all the languages that humans have ever spoken. It contains all the scientific advances that we've made in every single millennia of the experience of the human species, which is way older than everybody talks about. So we have all this information stored in our sacred anatomy. And where is it stored? Okay, so now we're at, we've talked about karma a little bit. Let me tie that in to something called the radiant points, which are located in the template. And here's a picture. So the radiant points are those purple circles. And there's more than that. There's a couple of them missing from that picture, but that's only because they're at the back. So the radiant points are really significant because what they're doing is they're holding information that is related to the type of karma that you have stashed in your structure. Now, it's not stashed in the radiant points, but the radiant points are the access place. That's how we grab them. So here's what they are. There are two etheric points that are suspended in the etheric layer on the left of the human energy structure, and the etheric is in the karma and death strata. So each of these layers here that you're seeing has strata. And the orange layer has 8 different strata. One of the strata they have is called karma and death, and the other is called recent. So at the right side of the shoulder, so that would be over here on your left, that's recent. So recent karma would be accessed through that point. And then on the other side, the opposite side, would be karma and death, which is logged there. So you might say, well, what karma and death, what, I haven't died. How could my death be logged there? It's every death you've ever had is logged there. And karmic agreements, karmic entanglements, all those things are kind of logged there. But where are they actually? And this is a good thing to be looking at, because in the orange strata here, right there in the 8th strata of the orange layer, which is called the etheric layer, we have basically a historical record of everything that our soul has done, been through, gone through. And there are it's like little caves. They're like, I used to call them the Himalayan mountains, because it's like a mountain range. Cheryl, do you have that layers picture? Yeah, Cheryl's so amazing. There's like, I don't know how many drawings. We're up to over 100 drawings, and she's accessing them, at the last minute here. So give her a second, and she's going to show you a picture of the etheric layer. Okay. All right. So here's the etheric layer. So the way this is organized, let me talk you through the order. So at the bottom is what is a layer called inception, and the next one's first phase. So inception is before you're born. It's when you're discussing with the council of elders who you're going to be, where you're going to come, who's your parents. And then first phase is actually conception and gestation and even birth. And then infancy is the next one. And then you move from infancy to childhood. And then you move from childhood to youth. Now, youth can last a really, really long time. Sometimes people are stuck in youth until they're 60. But then there's maturity. We finally reach maturity. And there's knowledge and a kind of a deeper access. You can see how the mountains are a little different there. And then you go to karma and death, which is the next one. And karma and death is one of the strata where the radiant point is located. And then there's recent, which is at the very top. And that's another place where the radiant point is located. Okay, so those are just 2 of the radiant points. So we have 2 temple points. We have, and the temple points have to do with following your bliss, your pathway, your calling. So those are the temple points, and they're right here. And then you have 2 scapular points at the back, which are not in the picture. They're just by the scapula, and they have to do with karma about receiving support, knowing you're here for a reason and that you can make a contribution. Then the 2 shoulder points are the outside of the collarbone, just down in front of the shoulder joint on either side. And those points have to do with holding steady on your course and being guided by your inner voice. So you can hear that that what these points are doing are kind of global. So they have like a global impact, and they're holding access to types of karma that we have accumulated through who knows how many lifetimes. Some people have lived thousands of lifetimes. Other people have lived fewer lifetimes on this plane. Maybe they've been on another plane working and doing things. So it's interesting to understand what is packed into the sacred anatomy. All right. We're still on the same question. So radiant points, that's where they're located. Then there's the greater mind. So the greater mind moving through the template is definitely influenced by the radiant points. It definitely hears the whisperings. So one of the values of knowing these radiant points is that we can do a thing called soothing the points, which is determining which point is overloaded and over-delivering. So for example, if one of the calf points at the back of your legs, the rear of the calves, is overloaded, that would be a karma around standing your ground, around reaching beyond your limits, sticking to your soul's path as it unfolds. So if you're having a lot of trouble standing your ground, taking a stand for who you are, if you're having a lot of trouble even walking your soul's path, those radiant points would be extremely important to soothe, so that you could get a download from those points that would be more in pace with your life unfolding and all the things that you're working with. So you see, the radiant points are really important. They're very powerful access points to deeper karma and deeper understanding of sort of your soul, how it's been impacted by the many lives you've lived. Okay, now we come to the spheres of influence. Nazi has woven together multiple systems that actually influence each other, and she is so smart. She has landed upon the pieces that are, always waiting to talk to each other. So let's go to the picture of the spheres of influence. The brilliant Cheryl has now got our harmonizing network composite. Okay, so did you have just the spheres of influence picture, sweetie? This is a lot of information in this picture. Don't let it dazzle you too much. This is a lot going on. I know she's got it somewhere because she's got them all. So you see those circles and the thing that looks like a snowflake, and the blue one, the red one, the green one. And then there's one that looks kind of spiky, has a blue kind of loop there. These are different kinds of spheres of influence. And these spheres of influence are accumulated and pulled out of the memories that are stored in the etheric from lifetimes where you have established mastery in something. So we can go now, Cheryl. So, for example, you love goats, and you have become a goat owner. You have a herd, and you have decided you're going to really get good at goat cheese. So you start making goat cheese, and you're fumbling around, and then one day, all of a sudden, you know how to make goat cheese, like amazing goat cheese. And your goat cheese comes out better than anybody's goat cheese, and everybody's clamoring for your goat cheese, okay? That's because a sphere of influence, probably a blue sphere, which has to do with functional activities, opened, and delivered to you the memories of making goat cheese. Have you ever had an experience? Some of you may have had an experience where you just knew where to touch somebody when they were in pain. Have you ever had an experience where you just knew how to do something? And you don't really know how you learned or where it came from. And it was just this intuitive knowingness. And there it was. Sometimes child prodigies, people who, kids who just sit down and start playing the piano or playing the guitar. Like my little grandson, under 2 years old, picked up the guitar and started strumming it. It was like, this is strange. Where did he know how to do that from, So kids demonstrate these things really early. And sometimes their parents are cool enough to pick up on it. And sometimes they just miss the point altogether. But we've got these moments in our life where we remember expertise and awareness and knowledge. And that's what a sphere of influence is. So, oh, thanks, Cheryl. Here, she's got the picture of only the spheres. So there's a teardrop sphere, that's a purpose sphere. There's kidney-shaped sphere right here that's blue. It's a function sphere. There's a snowflake-shaped sphere, which is a wisdom sphere. So you see, there's function, purpose, and wisdom. This great big one up at the top is a purpose sphere. And depending on the size of the sphere, the amount of information that's in there, and the moment when it opens, you can bring forward into your world, into your life, entire works. So that's what happened to me, In many ways, I was developing as I was living my life. But in 1996, a sphere of influence opened. And all of a sudden, the download started. And within just a few years, I had all the information that's in YSA, Your Sacred Anatomy, had just come. And it was like, I had no idea really quite what was going on. So I had to start analyzing what part of the anatomy I was getting this from, where it was coming from. And I started to see in other people spheres of influence. And I started to see people that I saw as very, very creative. So finally, to pull this all together, Nazi, the greater mind absolutely cultivates and is part of the ability to pick up on those spheres of influence. Usually people who have spheres of influence have cultivated something. Like I sang professionally for 26 years. I studied singing for 20 years. I taught singing for 9 years. So I was extremely masterful at singing. And so I had done that. I had created something masterful. So when this opened for me in 96, I was getting ready to retire from singing, doing the kind of gigs I was doing. And all of a sudden, this other level of mastery opened, except that it wasn't like I had to learn from the beginning. It was like fully formed, and it just landed. So this has happened for lots of people. Marianne Williamson has experienced this with the work that she's done. The people that brought forth the Course in Miracles had that open like that. I mean, there's a lot of works that have been downloaded or delivered, and people figure out kind of for their own minds what it is that's happening. Oh, God's giving me this information. But I'm telling you, it's in your subtle anatomy. I'm telling you that you've always had access to it, but it just hadn't opened for you yet. So that means that anybody here in this chat room here, anybody here in our Zoom could very well open a sphere of influence. It could happen. It could happen at any moment. It could happen. So the exciting thing about that is that as you do sacred anatomy, energy medicine, healing work, you develop your greater mind and your ability to feel into your structure. You experience the evolution of spheres of influence and possibly the opening of them. And your radiant points are always working, and hopefully working in such a balanced way that the karma download you're getting is not blowing you out of the water and causing dramas every left, right, and center. So hopefully I answered your question at least somewhat, Nazi. And I bet you we've got a couple of more now. Cheryl, what have we got?
Yeah, well, Diane has a bit of a follow-up on this.
Uh-oh.
She says, can you give examples of wisdom and purpose spheres, as in spheres of influence?
Absolutely. So the sphere of influence that opened for me in 96 was a wisdom sphere. And it carried wisdom, it carried knowledge and information that hadn't been available to others until then. And so that's a wisdom sphere. What did she say? Was the other one purpose she wanted to know about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, purpose and function, I guess.
Yeah. So purpose is a sphere that would open about your direction, being drawn to inner politics, to unscramble the mess, to go there, being drawn to study medicine because you have ideas and feelings and knowingness within you that are purposeful and are pulling you there. So that would be something that would open there, and it would give you perhaps inspired ideas about medical treatments and things you could do. A function would be something like making goat cheese or doing something very concrete that had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And that's usually what function spheres are about. Okay? Hopefully that's answered your question, Diane. All right. So is there another question?
Yes.
And so here's
Yes.
Juliana. She says,
oh, well, if you want to stick with the template system, can you talk about template echo and attuning with people versus merging?
oh, wow. These are such good questions. I love them. All right. So the template echo is really amazing. So you know how you can feel when people are behind you, right? And you can feel, if you're a mother, the children are too quiet. You can feel like they're into something. But where is this coming from? Where is this information arising from? Is it just your intuition? Maybe, maybe not. Is it your instinct? Possibly. But probably what it is a thing called the template echo. So the template echo is a survival skill. It has to do with being able to feel behind you, around you, to the left, right, center, back, forward, everywhere, above you. And it helps you survive in a world that's not safe at all. So for example, the primary thing that intuition is for, instinct and intuition both are for, is to keep the species alive. That's what it's about. And so we have expanded on that, but truthfully, those are the things. And what is the template echo? The template echo is the ability to feel into a space, to feel behind you, to know if the baby is crawling into the fire pit or starting to crawl out of the mouth of the cave where God knows what could eat it. So your knowingness as a mother in that time would be very much driven by your instincts and your intuitions and your knowingness about what's happening. And the part of the structure that is the template echo. So it's the nervous system, and it is the echoing in the system of other people's needs. The other thing is that we had to know why the baby was screaming, caterwauling. Why is the baby in pain? What is wrong with the baby? And we have to be able to feel into the baby so we can know what it is the belly is aching from or why. And then we know what to do about it. So it's totally about survival. So now, fast forward a couple of billion years, and here we are. When I'm with you, I can feel your pain. I can feel your upset. I can feel your anguish, your stress, your sorrow. And that is my template echo that is sensing it. Now, I'm not feeling your pain at the level you're feeling it. It's not effective for me. It would harm me and make me less capable of supporting you. So the template echo makes sure that I get an echo of it. I just get an echo. I get a little taste of it. So if you're having an agonizing, appendicitis attack, I'm going to feel a kind of aching in that region of my body. So the template echo is that felt sense experience that we have when connecting and relating to other people. Is that everything you wanted to know? Or was there more to your question that I forgot? No? I got it? Yeah, okay, good. All right.
Now, next is from Celine, and this circling back to the spheres of influence part of our earlier discussion. Is free will one of the things that decide which sphere of influence gets opened up, or is it predetermined?
Well, it's definitely not predetermined. And it's free will only in that you are the one who's managing what you allow yourself to understand about yourself. So as you're growing, as you're evolving, as you're developing as a human being, as you're healing the wounds of childhood and the difficulties in your life, that's driven in some ways by your will. Because, I will not suffer anymore from childhood sexual abuse. I will end this. I am the end of this in this generation. How many women have said that? And we say that because we truly are using our will for the good of all humanity. And that is a willfully directed decision. And then we set out to find a therapist. We set out to unravel our own abuse. We set out to understand it. We set out to heal it. And maybe we join groups and so on. And all these things are willfully directed. You cannot will a sphere of influence to open. They only open when your structure is capable of handling it. It has to be ready. I should tell you, before my big sphere opened in 96, I had spent 2 years writing about a period in my life that I had never analyzed, that I had never talked to a therapist about, that I never sort of resolved. And I wrote down the story of that time of my life, 600 pages. I got it done. I set it aside. I closed the computer and bam, the sphere opened. It was wild. And I literally went into like an altered state, and I was in that altered state for, it felt like years, probably 10 minutes. But it was an extraordinary moment in my life. And that was the opening of the sphere. So I didn't will it to open, but I did have the will to unravel a time in my life that had been really chaotic and difficult. So it's not predestined. It's like somebody doesn't like put a dot on your head and say, there's predestination and you will manifest enlightenment in this lifetime. Nobody can do that for you. You're the only one who can put the dot on your head. So you're the one who has to say, I am choosing to work for this goal in my lifetime. If your goal is enlightenment, I am choosing to work for enlightenment in this lifetime, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there. I'm going to do that. I choose to lift the frequency of the human species. That's not easy, but I'm on it. I'm doing it. That's my life work. And so I'm choosing to do things like put myself out there and talk about my personal life, which is being a private person. That's a crazy thing to do, but I'm willing to do it because my role, my goal, my desire is higher and stronger. So I'm using both will and my sense of empowerment from the opening of the sphere of influence. I hope that answers your question, Celine. Oh, good. Okay, great. And so good to see your face, too. Glad to see who you are. All right. Is there another question, or should I just talk about something else?
Yes, Diane wants to follow up. If our template echo is overactive, how do we turn it off? Is there a way to retrain it in addition to expanding the template?
Part of expanding the template is controlling your template echo. Because the echo, if it's really active, your echo will begin to contract. Your template will begin to contract. Your nervous system will begin to go into a kind of shutdown. And what will feel like hyperactivity is actually a lessening. So expanding the template is the exercise to do, Diane. And for those of you who don't know, there's a way to tell the template to expand, and it's extremely simple. It's an easy exercise with just 3 steps. And we can control the compression, the expansion of our template. So when we're walking through life and doing our stuff, and we experience something frightening, a car almost hits us, we contract. And that's a normal reaction. That's a survival technique. We pull in. We don't want to feel all that's around us. We're just focused on staying alive. And then as we walk down the street a little more and things are calming down, our template starts to naturally move out again. It's relaxing. Our nervous system is calming down. Maybe we have a nice cup of chamomile tea and the whole thing calms down. Because your nervous system, all of your nervous system, your physical nervous system and your subtle nervous system are all connected. They work together. So as you calm and expand your template, you don't activate it more. You simply relax it. So by doing that, by relaxing it and letting it go to an expanded state, you stop being so reactive and involved with the stories going on all around you. It's really easy to get sucked in, isn't it? It's so easy, especially right now when everybody's got these huge stories about whatever. So you're now in a place where you can stay relaxed in the midst of the storm. And that's the value of that exercise, to be honest. Is there another question, Diane? You usually have like a series. I want to be sure we got you. Okay, good. All right. Thank you, sweetie. Okay, anybody else got a question? To clarify, here's Juliana.
Yeah, she says, to clarify, template expansion and echo is safe sensing, where an expanded human electromagnetic field, or HEMF, causes entanglement.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Somebody asked me about entangling or enmeshment. It's exactly. The electromagnetic field is where and how we enmesh with other people. And usually what happens is people who are enmeshers, they haven't really learned how to hold their boundary of their electromagnetic field. They actually extend part of their electromagnetic field out, and they can do things like plug into the electrical socket, or plug into the light, or plug into the cell tower, yay, or plug into somebody else, or push in to somebody else and merge with them. And if you've got 2 people who are in love, you've got this enmeshment, right? I remember my husband and I, for about 5 years, we were never apart. Never apart. We were totally madly in love. We were crazy in love for each other. And at about 5 years, it was like, I think I need a break. I think I'm going to go to the store without you. And we started to do things separately. And that was such a nice thing. Such a nice thing. Because I went, oh, whew, huh. And I realized I had been really enmeshed with Bobby. And as much as I love him, which is boundless after 50 years, it's endless, there's something that happened when I remembered that I didn't have to be part of him. And when I stepped aside and when I became me, fully me. And now we have this moment every day where we kind of look at each other and go, wow, you're an amazing person. Look what you're doing. Look at the guitar playing that you're doing. Look at how you're in 2 bands and you're just going for it. And look at the work you're doing, honey. Look at all the stuff you're doing with your students. So we appreciate each other now. And it's not an enmeshing. It's an acknowledging of the distinction and the separation that we have. And so 2 people together at the edge, way more powerful than 2 people enmeshed, unable to figure out whose idea was what. Or whose movement was what. Why'd you do that? I don't know why you did that. Oh boy, and your feelings can get so hurt when you're enmeshed. I mean, just like crushed. You can be like, you didn't think of me first. No, as a matter of fact, I didn't. That can be really painful, right? So it's nice to be able to separate and say, yeah, you think about you. It's good. I appreciate that. So, maturity comes eventually. Do we have another question?
Yes, Desda.
All right.
With the template, and at the very edge of our energy structure, the template goes out to the little villi, or in relationship to all of these source energies that the universe is expressing all the time with great alacrity. How does our relationship and capacity to receive the bounty of the universe change when we are aware of our villi, are at the edge, have this conscious relationship there?
Did you make that question up? Because that's really a good one, Cheryl.
I'm curious.
She's curious. I love it. So the thing that happens when we awaken to our own sacred anatomy, it's a revelation, because we're awakening to our soul's structure. Like, we go through life with this idea that we have a soul, but who knows what that is? It's this amorphous kind of like thing that maybe belongs to a church. We're not sure, And we have to reclaim it. Maybe it belongs over here. We're not sure. To take it back from some great teacher or something. Where's my soul? What happened to it? Where did it get lost? And then you have these ideas like I feel my soul is drawn to you, or my soul is drawn to this work, right? But really, what is drawn to it? So when you begin to analyze the sacred anatomy, at a certain point, I realized what I was doing was mapping the soul. And it was like, is this chick audacious or what? It's like, who goes around saying they're mapping the soul? But that's what I was actually doing. And so as I was becoming aware of mapping the soul, I began to realize that we had parts of the subtle anatomy that connected to all creation. So we have a way that our own soul, the individuated soul that is me or you, can connect to the totality that is all life. Everything, every planet, every sphere, every asteroid, moon, we are connected. And how does that distinction happen? How do we become awake to that and conscious about it? The more you know your sacred anatomy, the more you know who you are and what you're capable of. And the more you strip away from that soul, from that structure, traumas, injuries, accidents, issues, negative experiences, and you strip them away over time, it's amazing because your own awareness starts to increase. You become more and more capable of actual partnership with divine source. So I like to say that we're standing shoulder to shoulder with divine source, that we're in partnership with all creation, that we are literally co-creative beings. And that's really what makes us human, that we're co-creative with the source. And we direct and use source energies, source material, if you will, to create not just material things, but ideas, concepts, beliefs, attitudes, knowingness, awakened awareness, availability, opportunity, possibility. And that all comes from this awakened awareness. So we have moments in our life where we have a flash. I just realized the possibility of fill in the blank. And then you forget about it. You kind of slip back into I'm doing my life, I'm doing my life, I forgot that I had that awakening. And then a little while later, you have another one. Maybe you have a creative inspiration that comes about. Maybe you remember all of a sudden a melody that you heard in your sleep. And you play it on the piano or you sing it out. I had an experience when my grandson was born. I got to meet him just when he was just hours old. And I went to the hospital. It was during COVID, so only one of us could go at a time. So I went. And there he was, this little new being who looked like an ancient Tibetan monk. It was like right there. And I looked at him, and I, being a singer, I sang to him. I just went, ooh, ooh, ooh. Just a little soft, gentle little song. He sang it back to me. He sang it back to me. And everybody kind of turned and went, did he just sing? It was like a moment of amazing awareness and connection that he and I had. And I realized in that moment that this little guy and I were going to be good friends, that we had an alignment already that was at the soul level, a memory and an ability to tune in to the sounds, the spheres of the universe, perhaps. So it's just, these things just come about in our lives, don't they? They happen. I bet you could all share something like that happened in your life. An amazing moment when something blew your mind, just blew your mind, and you thought, I'm touching God right now. This is it, And when we have those moments, we want to nurture them. We want to care for them, but we don't want to forget the impact that they have, because that's a way that the sacred anatomy is actually entering your life and awakening to you. So it's an awakening process, and becoming awake to your own soul's journey, your own soul's power, your own co-creative capacity brings you into a way of being that allows you to be in total co-creation with the divine source. I think I answered your question. You guys have to let me know if I strayed off the mark somehow. All right, are there anyone?
Wonderful.
Oh, thanks, Cheryl, for asking such a fun question. Anybody else got a question?
Yes. Jean-Marie asks, as practitioners, we hold the field. how is that field related to the template system? What other systems are involved, and how is the field held?
Oh, lovely. Okay, so you're probably wondering what the heck is she talking about? The field. What is the field? So the field that we as practitioners hold, practitioners of this work, hold an energetic field, an energetic container, if you will, that is supported by the sacred anatomy angels. So, okay, whether you believe in angels or not doesn't really matter. It's the sacred anatomy vibe, and we're holding it. And we have help. We have help from beings that are not incarnated into physical bodies. And those beings we call the sacred anatomy angels, for lack of, individual names. We call them the sacred anatomy angels. And we hold together a field, an energetic field that is the field of the work in the world. And we are holding that field. And this is such a great question, is we are holding that field with the totality of who and what we are. So when you hold another person, let's just make it really simple. So you have someone who's going through an important event in their life, and you want to be there to support them. But you don't want to get in their way. You don't want to be annoying. So you just want to hold space. You just want to be there. So when we say hold space, what does that really mean? Are we literally holding the space around them? Well, kind of, because what we're doing is with the totality of who and what we are in compassion, holding the space that we share. Because we share space with other people, with other beings, with other thoughts and ideas, with other concepts and beliefs. Believe it or not, we're sharing the Republican and Democrats. We're sharing them all. Believe it or not. So there's a field that we could think of as the field of the United States. And that's something that we're all holding. What part of the structure is holding that? Everything that we are. All the 7 systems, all the anatomy, the thousands of parts of the anatomy, they're all holding that, because it's the totality of your awareness that's holding. And the awareness placed at the edge gives you the capacity to hold energy in a really expanded way, an exciting way, a way that is not driven by a personal agenda. Because holding space with a personal agenda, like, I really want you to be okay. I really, I'm going to go visit my sick friend, and I really want you to be okay. I really want you to be healthy again. I'm so sorry you're sick. Okay, that is the biggest pain in the ass visitor that you could ever have when you're sick. Right? You've had that person come over, haven't you? Like, please, go. So what you want to do is you want to hold with total compassion and from a place of non-attachment. And you cannot do that from the egoic nature of the electromagnetic field in your physical body. So that's the mistake that people make. They want to hold somebody with their electromagnetic field, and then it just feels like they have glommed onto them. So holding with the totality of your structure, holding at the edge of your energy structure, this is the place where you attain greatest compassion. So that is a powerful, powerful message that you are sending to anyone you come in touch with, that you not only can hold space, but that you can be in the field without subtracting from it. Because when you put your ego into the field, you're taking away. When you're working altruistically and with the benefit of all in mind and from compassion and kindness, mindfully holding your awareness at the edge, things happen. Things happen that are much greater than the things that happen when you egoically move towards a goal, trying to get something for your own value or for the benefit of your kid or the benefit of your club or your organization or your political party. So if you're pushing from that angle, it's less rewarding than if you're going from the edge of the sacred anatomy. Did I answer your question, sweetie? Okay. Well, that actually leads me into sharing with you the Edge class, which is coming up. We just did the free class yesterday, which you can still access on our site. And there's a 3-week class. We meet Mondays and Thursdays, 3 hours each class. It begins August 5th, and you can learn in 3 weeks' time how to go to the edge and all the associated gifts that that class gives you, like 50 different videos and all kinds of exercises for sensing the subtle and being awake and aware to your sacred anatomy. Let's see the next slide, Cheryl. So the cost is $333. That's an early bird cost. And after July 25th, it goes up to $399. So register right away and you will get the early bird discount. And we also have this class following that, and that'll be in September. We have a 3-week energetic hygiene, again, Mondays and Thursdays, and it's 3 hours each class. This will tell you what to do with the edge, how to care for yourself, how to take care of yourself, how to give yourself the best self-care tools you've ever going to learn. You know, how to clear the layers system, how to bring in supporting energies. I teach you how to douse. And it's only $349 early bird. You can also, Cheryl is reminding us, you can also repeat the edge class. And I think that's for a ridiculous discount. Like it's really inexpensive to repeat it. You can repeat hygiene too. And then on August 16th, we'll have another Friday anatomy from 10 to 11. So bring your questions. Can I ask you guys a question? I want to ask you a question. Do you like this? Should I do more of these? Yeah? Yeah? It's good? Yes, says Ruth. All right. Okay, well then maybe I'll schedule a couple in, thank you, Diane. I'll schedule some in September and October and November. Then we'll have a way to make that happen. That ought to be fun. All right. Yeah, get your own copy of yoursacredanatomy.com. I love what Michael says here. This body of work is a revelation of intricate detail, an encyclopedia of the soul, and a catalyst for your own personal evolution. Yeah, it is. I'm not sure how it happened, but it is. It's kind of magic what happened there. That, my friends, is a manifestation of a sphere of influence. That's one of the cool things about it. Well, I hope to see you all again soon. I think I will see some of you very soon, and I'm looking forward to it. And I just love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for participating. And thank you for all these great questions. Look how much fun that was. Awesome. All right, have a great weekend. Hey, do me a favor. Go outside, walk a little, let it all hang loose. Go to the beach, go to the lake and river, go to water. You need water, guys. Go to the water. I'll see you soon. Take care. Much love. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Desda.
Thank you.